Gets plenty of exercise, drinks pure water, breathes pollution-free air, eats free-range organic diet, but also dead by age 35. Yeah, maybe this stuff is a little overrated. And all these things really don't matter when you're being hunted by a saber-toothed tiger. Civilizations looking for a good location for a city. They got two options, swamps or literally anywhere else. Well, I guess their mind is already made up. Something about them swamps, man. Then again, in the case of Mexico, they literally found an eagle eating a snake on top of a cactus. I don't care where that event is taking place, I'm building a city there, just whether it's a swamp or not. The area of Suriname versus the area of Bangladesh. Yeah, both looking around the same size. Versus the population of Suriname versus the population of Bangladesh. One chicken compared to, yeah, all this. When comparing these two places on a true size map, it does look like they are almost identical. I mean, Suriname pretty much fits perfectly right here. I don't think India would even know if they switch spots. Suriname is about 63 squared miles, and Bangladesh is only about 5,000 less than that. Yet in terms of population, there's 166 million Bangladeshis, and not even 1 million for Suriname. This is crazy. Talk about a South Asia moment. Here's Taylor Swift's dazzling camouflage meant to break up her shape against the background. This makes it difficult for German U-boats to figure out her range, speed, and direction. I had no idea she was a big World War II live-action role player. I think she also plays Hearts of Iron 4. FDR and Churchill versus Stalin and Hitler. And fight! Hey, wait a second. Hitler, what are you doing? That guy was on your team. Meanwhile, the other two, FDR and Churchill, just like looking on in amazement, kind of. I think they were anticipating being more a part of the fight, but it looks like they're just gonna kind of be spectators for a second. Wait, is FDR drawn with leg braces? If I knew these were coming to the battle, I'd put all my money on him. I'd give him a pretty big advantage, I think. This really was what World War II was shaping up to look like in the very beginning, because the Soviets and Germans had signed a non-aggression pact with each other. They each both divided Poland up together, and then soon after, Hitler decided to make the dumbest mistake of all time. I mean, I'm sorry, but if these were the teams the whole time, I don't think FDR and Churchill even have a slight chance. And then Japan would also be on their side way over here. I mean, it's not even like the Soviets would have to help the Axis, they just had to not do anything. I mean, maybe the US would be able to somewhat withstand since they have two huge oceans on the sides of them, but I don't know how long the UK survives for. I just wish Mussolini of Italy and Hirohito of Japan joined in. Like, the next panel has to be Japan slapping FDR with a steel chair. Me explaining the birth of the Roman Republic, meanwhile the guy who was just wondering why America has a two-party system. We'll get there when we get there. Can't just explain the answer without a little bit of backstory. You're actually lucky I didn't start from the Big Bang. How can people not care about the Library of Alexandria? Do they not care about all the lost knowledge? Meanwhile, at the very same time, now I didn't know what this image was initially, but apparently this is referring to the 1965 MGM vault fire. It was caused by an electrical short, and unfortunately, the only known copies of hundreds of films were destroyed, and in an instant, we have lost a bunch of silent films. Some of the movies lost: A Blind Bargain, London After Midnight, and The Divine Woman. This is so scary that stuff can happen. And it has still happened even recently. This was a Universal Studios fire in 2008. 40 to 50,000 archived digital video and film copies destroyed. When you give a Sumerian person the aux cord. Yo, this is actually fire. This is why when I'm driving around, all my Sumerian friends get the aux cord first. I always just have to make sure they don't jump scare me. Germans in Normandy, knowing the Allies could never possibly make a landing on the beaches, so they're just kind of out here chilling. This was the vacation front too. For a lot of people that were in the Eastern Front would get sent here, right? Almost as like time to relax. And I guess before D-Day, they really got to do a lot of relaxing. I like your pants. Thanks. I got them at 50% off. I like it better if they were 100% off. Me too, but unfortunately we don't live in a communist society. Oh god, Thomas, that's not what I meant. If we want free pants, we need to start a revolution, Jane. No, I think he has a point here, actually. And thus, communism was born. This is actually a really young Karl Marx. I don't know if they labeled that, though. Oh, please, not France or Brazil. Hello, sir. Where am I? French Guyana. Yeah, that feeling win for sure. French Guyana really is kind of like a horribly hybrid nation between France and Brazil. They might speak French, but pretty much everything else is just Brazil. Does this mean that maybe France was the first country to ever actually come to Brazil after Brazil asked? Germany starts losing the war. Italy and Romania to Finland. Yo, we about to ditch. You in? Ah, yes, German allies in a nutshell. As soon as any slight inconvenience comes up, it's like, you want to switch teams? I realize it's not super historically accurate, but the meme is funny. Being the age age of 28. In 2019, I'm not ready to be in a relationship. Meanwhile, in 1819, I have 14 kids. Meanwhile, 40 BC, I get to fight in a Thirds of War. Off to Greece I go. Lucky's out here traveling. Hey man, whatever it takes to just view the world. Someone want to send me into battle? The North Korean army summarized. They launched one arrow at the USS Wisconsin from far away. Luckily, they're out of range from, I think, any sort of rebuttal. Alright, never mind. You know, that's weird. You would think an arrow would do good against a battleship, but I guess not. Most people, elevators are too dangerous for human transportation. What if the cable snaps? Alicia Otis be like, look mom, no cable. Yo, this guy looks still a little bit skeptical though. The man from the meme was an American industrialist and the inventor of a safety device that prevents elevators from falling if the hoisting cable fails. I actually didn't even know we had this, I'll be honest. I thought that if the cable snapped, we're done. It only took me like 170 years to figure that out. The CIA during the Red Scare. So, you were a communist all this time and you didn't even tell me. Random law-abiding citizen. I didn't even know. I'm just imagining the scene from SpongeBob because they're both preparing to like capture each other, pumping up their weapons. So I'm glad this random law-abiding citizen is at least gonna try to defend themselves. Hey Switzerland, we need to fly over you to blow up Germany. Is that cool? Ah, it's America and WW2. Switzerland be like, we're neutral. Don't worry, we'll only fly over you. Fuck you, we're neutral. Yeah, mess around with Switzerland and you're gonna find out. They take being neutral extremely seriously. Doesn't matter what's flying over their skies, they're gonna bring it down. I'll go to bed soon, I say to myself at 11:59 p.m. Why am I on Wikipedia reading about 13th century European nobility at 5:30 a.m.? This was pretty much me throughout all of college. It's no wonder I dropped out twice. I somehow got over this addiction because I guess now I just read memes on the internet for fun. I don't need to do the Wikipedia all-nighters anymore. Cry all you want. It won't bring Yugoslavia back. Meanwhile, all the other fellow Doge neighbors just laughing at him. Montenegro seems to be especially happy about that though. Meanwhile, NATO just looking creepy. Kosovo doing a little bit of trolling. Does like all support from another like Yugoslavia really just come from Serbia? None of these other countries have anyone that wants to do that again? Where's Albania in all this? Are they about to eat Kosovo or something? Revolutionary War casualties be like, obviously it was Revolutionary War, so we had US versus Great Britain. Most battles being like 10,000 versus 6,000, and we had like 30 dudes on both sides just not make it. Then in some of the battles, 20,000 people were involved, meanwhile 64 didn't make it out. I guess if I was ever forced into a time machine and go and fight in one of these conflicts throughout history, I should definitely pick this one. I really like these odds. Helps a lot that muskets are not the most accurate thing ever. Me, where did the sea peoples go? Historians be like, good question. And honestly, will we ever really know? Just a random confederation that attacked ancient Egypt and other Eastern Mediterranean civilizations. I love how they're still literally just referred to as sea people. Like that's all we really know. And because that's really the only two words, that makes this whole thing even more interesting. It's like they came from the sea, like they were born in it or something. They were from Atlantis. Spanish Guyana, British Guyana, Dutch Guyana, Portuguese Guyana, French Guyana. Meanwhile, yeah, he's just by himself now. Guess it's because they didn't have that magical formula of French and Brazilian. Can't just be Portuguese, Dutch, British, or Spanish. Big rip to the Guyanas. Charlemagne, I'm gonna divide my empire so my heirs don't fight. Meanwhile, East and West Francia centuries later, and they are still going at it, causing all of this mess. Yeah, maybe instead of dividing his old empire into three, he should have just kept it together somehow. The French, the Spanish Empire, Napoleon, no Germany, all being stopped by the British Navy, keeping the rest of Britain nice and safe. Who could have guessed just a little strip of water makes all the difference? Even just without this Strait of Dover, everything changes. When your Argentinian grandfather celebrates Germany's goal in the World Cup, wait a second. No, the prophecy can't be true. He's lied to me all these years, hasn't he? Vietnam spending 50 years fighting France, the US, China, Cambodia, the Philippines, and itself, and still somehow surviving. I like this gif, but I wish it showed Meg, like, launching attacks back and, like, one by one repealing the other side. Vietnam is just impossible to stop. President Kennedy, do you know how to put men on the moon yet? NASA, no. President Kennedy, be a lot cooler if you did. And then a few years later, when NASA did actually put someone on the moon, Kennedy was all like, damn, I didn't know you were chill like that. That's the only reason why I reviewed that meme, so I could say that. When your baby comes out looking like they got 3 kids and a mortgage. WTF is this thing? I don't even think that's a child. That looks like a small man. Ma'am, why did a small man... why did you give birth to a small man? Battleships in WW1 versus battleships in WW2. Crazy what technology can do all in like 20 years, maybe like 25 years. Battleships and planes, everything changed. Oh, it was aircraft carriers that really gave battleships a tough time. Submarines didn't help either. When she goes through your phone, but all she can find is how to restore the Roman Empire's greatness, fastest way to reduce the Gallic city's population, how to put Western and Eastern Rome back together. Why are you concerned, lady? You are literally with one of the greatest men of all time. If you're not married already, you better get on it. And big thanks to my patrons.
aPhatNarwhal.
Presented by Robert
My wife
E.
hates this
Sebi,
part.
if you hear this,
ClBlr
I love
is
you.
your
Drew's
daddy.
Argentinian grandpa.
$20 is a
Yarna,
lot, Drew.
Wild
Bring
Fang.
back
Chris
polandball.
3773.
Danny
Evan,
the
GoodOldRyah.
Gamer.
I
LuxembourgLover.
stole Drew's pet dog.
Jakov.
Catfish
Bruney.
Animations.
The Polish-Lithuanian
Veiotic.
Commonwealth.
Why am I doing
The
Twickenhamster?
Mexicans.
And ZaneyBoi.